What makes for a good night's sleep and what makes for a bad one? What makes one night amazing and the next night a complete disaster? Sleep can be predictably unpredictable and frustratingly elusive, but here's the thing, it doesn't have to be like this. I've put together 7 steps for you to get amazing, life-changing sleep every night, and here's the best part, they're free. Some of them actually might even save you money. And make sure you stick around for the very last step because it could be the key to giving you the best night's sleep of your life tonight. Buckle up, hit like, hit subscribe, and stick with me because we're about to deconstruct the mystery of sleep and reconstruct how you can harness the most powerful healing tool and performance enhancer in the known universe. Step 1, sunlight in the morning. The first step to getting great sleep doesn't happen at night, it actually happens first thing in the morning. And that's why we cannot talk about sleep until we talk about the M word. You've heard of melatonin, right? Yes, it's the thing that everyone takes and no one has any idea what it does. That's exactly right, great insight. Melatonin is actually a hormone produced by our very own pineal gland in our brains. That's right, you're taking hormones every night. When certain internal and external conditions are met, the pineal gland will release a poof of melatonin to initiate sleep. Now, you'll notice I didn't say put you to sleep, and this is a common misconception about melatonin. Melatonin does not put you to sleep. It simply sets the stage for sleep to occur. Think of it as the sleep equivalent to a well-designed kitchen. Your kitchen doesn't make food for you, it merely gives you the opportunity to make food for yourself. No kitchen, no food. No melatonin, no sleep. Okay, let's recap real quick. Melatonin is a hormone produced by our own brain. It allows us to sleep, but does not put us to sleep. And its natural release can be controlled by internal and external indicators. Great, now that we're up to speed on that, the question becomes how do we manipulate those internal and external indicators to manufacture the best sleep possible? That's a great question, and the answer comes with understanding what those factors are. Your natural melatonin release, that poof that we want to happen, is actually on a countdown timer. And this timer is part of your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is essentially your body's way of keeping time. It's trying to get you into a predictable routine, and it is incredibly important for daily functioning and overall health. This is why jet lag can have such a drastic, albeit temporary, impact on our well-being, because it's taking our daily rhythm and it's turning it on its head. Anyway, back to the countdown timer. Melatonin is on a countdown timer, and that timer gets set by 2 different things: sunlight and temperature. After we wake up in the morning, which usually comes from a slight rise in temperature, our brain is looking for cues in our environment to set the countdown timer for the poof of melatonin roughly 12 to 14 hours later. This cue comes from sunlight through our eyes. That signal travels into our eyes through our optic nerve and hits the timer in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is the clock-like structure in the brain that controls the timing of the poof. Now, you don't need to remember how this works. You don't need to remember the names of the brain structures. All you have to remember is sunlight in the eyes in the morning sets the timer so that melatonin can get released in the evening, which makes it possible for you to go to sleep. So, step 1 to getting life-changing sleep is getting sunlight in your eyes in the morning. You could do this by sipping your cup of coffee outside, taking the pup for a walk first thing in the morning, or you could do like I do and simply remove the shades on your drive to work. Okay, step 2, wake up at the same time every single morning. Yes, even if you can't sleep till 2 a.m., yes on the weekends, yes when you've had too much to drink, yes to any excuse you could possibly have for waking up later than your decided wake-up time. Yes, wake up at the same time every morning, no matter what. Remember, we're trying to get our circadian rhythm into a predictable routine, so consistency in the morning makes for success at night. So if you have a bad night, don't just think of how tired you're gonna be the next day and abandon your schedule. Instead, think of how tired you're gonna be for the rest of your life from chronic sleep restriction because your schedule is so unpredictable that your body can't help you out even though it desperately wants to. I know it doesn't seem like it most of the time, but your body can actually be helpful if you two actually communicate and get on the same page. So if you have a bad night, power through the day so that you can sleep the following night and stay on track. Step number 3, exercise. There is no up without down. There is no yin without yang. There is no rest without exertion. You need to have some kind of physical exertion during the day if you want to be able to rest at night. Our modern lifestyle perpetuates this routine of a constant temp of 72, a constant resting heart rate of 8 hours a day, constant lighting day or night, all 4 seasons, 365 days a year. This is not how it's supposed to be. Remember what we talked about in step 1. The brain and the body have rhythms and cycles we're supposed to go through. That means ups and downs. So if you really want to rest your body and mind at night, that means you need to exert your body and mind during the day through physical and mental activity. So go sweat, go do something, anything. Get out of here, go. But finish this video first, please finish it. Okay, step 4, limiting caffeine. Nobody loves a good cup of coffee more than me. I can tell you with 100% honesty, one of the best parts of my night is realizing that I get to wake up and have coffee the next morning. And that's why it kills me to tell you that if you want to get restorative, healing, life-changing sleep, you have to limit caffeine. Thank you. So kind. Listen, you don't have to cut out your caffeine completely. There's actually a lot of research to suggest that caffeine is incredibly helpful to cognition and overall health. But we do have to accept that caffeine can wreck our deep sleep. Everything in moderation. Here's why you need to limit it. The half-life of caffeine can last anywhere from 5 to 7 hours. This has to do with age, metabolism, and a bunch of other factors that we don't need to get into this video, but we do have to realize that if we have our last cup of coffee at 3 p.m., 50% of that caffeine is still coursing through our veins at 10 p.m. when we're trying to go to sleep. Listen, caffeine is for sharpening the mind, right? It's for object focus. It increases beta waves broadly throughout the brain, which are the types of brain waves that connect us to our environment. This happens to be the exact opposite brain state that we want to be in when we're trying to go to sleep at night. So if you find yourself staring at the ceiling every night instead of drifting into the sweet nothingness of deep sleep, the first thing you might want to check is when your last dose of caffeine was. And remember, dark chocolate has a decent amount of caffeine. 2 to 3 cups of decaf coffee is about the equivalent of a half a cup of caffeinated coffee. So be discerning about what goes down the hatch before bed. I set my personal cutoff time for caffeine at 11:30 a.m., but everyone's individual. Do what's right for you. Okay, step 5, decreasing light in the house by 50% after the sun sets. Okay, think back to step 1 about how we were giving ourselves light through the eyes in the morning to let our brain know that it's daytime and that we should be awake. Step 5 is about doing the exact opposite of that. At night, we can actually push back our poof of melatonin by dosing ourselves with artificial light. And we don't want to do that because we're tricking our brain into thinking that it's daytime. Now, blue light gets an especially bad rap for this, but it's actually all forms of light at night that are going to trick your brain into thinking it's day. So it's not as simple as throwing on a pair of blue blockers and calling it good. 2 hours before you want to go to sleep, just go through the house and start turning off lights. This is going to tell your brain that it's nighttime, it's time to start relaxing and winding down and getting ready for sleep. Step number 6, temperature. If you think back to the beginning of this video, you'll remember that I said that 2 external factors influence the brain into setting our circadian rhythms. One was sunlight, the other was temperature. An increase in temperature tells the brain that it's daytime. This is a good time to note that although you need to exercise during the day, you should not exercise within 2 hours of sleep. Exercise is going to raise the core temperature, telling the brain that it's daytime, which is going to push back the onset of sleep. Whereas a decrease in temperature signals to the brain that it's nighttime. The ideal temperature for sleep is somewhere between 60 and 67 degrees. One interesting thing to note here is the effectiveness of a hot shower or bath before bed. Not because they warm us up, but because they actually draw heat out of our core, which allows our core temperature to drop much easier. So a winning combination here would be hot shower or bath before bed and going into a nice cold room to go to sleep. Okay, finally, we are at step 7. This is the last step to getting life-changing sleep every night and possibly even the night you're watching this. So now is a great time to hit like and subscribe. If you've stuck with us this long, it would absolutely help the channel for you to do that, so I thank you in advance, and let's get into the final step. Okay. So one of the main things that keeps people from sleeping at night is a mind that won't stop racing. It's like as soon as your head hits the pillow, your brain turns on and you start thinking about things from 10 years ago or ruminating about something your boss said. For some reason, your brain kicks into gear when you're trying to go to sleep. Now, there are lots of reasons this could be happening, which honestly are beyond the scope of this video, but the solution for most of them is the same thing: a mindfulness practice. Let me ask you a question. When you're done cooking dinner, do you just leave the burner on? Absolutely not. You would never do that. That would be a terrible idea. So why would we think our brain would be any different? We all do things to turn our brain on in the morning when we're trying to do important cognitive tasks like work or school, but then we seem to leave it on 24/7, which taxes the system and requires us to turn things up even higher the next day and the next day until we're risking a total meltdown. This is what we do to our nervous systems when we leave our brains on all the time. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is a science-backed way to turn your brain off and has been proven to improve sleep at night. And all that is a specific style of meditation that's designed to switch your state of consciousness from one that is alert to one that is at rest. It's not complicated, it's actually incredibly simple. There's tons of applications like Insight Timer or websites like YouTube where you can find these guided meditations that you can do for free before bed. Personally, for me, I like something called Yoga Nidra. That just means yogic sleep. And it's something you can pull up on YouTube or Insight Timer before you go to sleep. Put on the headphones, follow along with it while you're in bed with your eyes closed, and it will lead to you getting some amazing sleep. I guarantee it will help things. So that's it. Those are your 7 steps to amazing sleep. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please destroy the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Do all the things to help the channel. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you want to know more about sleep or more about the steps we've covered in this video, you have to check out Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. It is amazing. It's foundational. He cites tons of research in that book to support all the steps that we talked about today. And honestly, it's just a good book. He's a really good author, so check it out. Again, thank you for your time. I know your time is valuable, so I hope you got some value out of this. See you in the next one.